Patricia Rua. Have I told you lately? Have I told you lately, Patricia Rua?
Do you remember that Rod Stewart song? Have I told you lately that I love you? It's okay, you can laugh at my voice. I would too. And I know some people think it's a corny line from a silly song. But for me, those words, I love you, changed my life forever. I was raised by a very stern Colombian father, where perfection was the only way to get his approval. If I didn't come home with straight A's, he would explode. I remember I was the new girl in high school. We were in the auditorium and they called my name for a second place award in science in a contest I didn't even know existed. I took my shiny plaque home to my dad. Papi, mira, look, I got second place in science in the new school. Aren't you proud? Proud? Why would I be proud? You didn't get first place. I ended up with the highest GPA in that high school. And still, he could be so cruel to me, and he would use his tongue like a whip. Patricia, what's wrong with you? Why are you so different? Why can't you be like your brother or your sister? Patricia, when you grow up, no man will ever want you. You will become a nun. When I graduated from high school, I went to college in Canada to get as far away from that man as possible. But when I got there, I rebelled. I knew I'd never be good enough for him. I knew he could never love me as I was. And so I just gave up trying. And I began to get F's instead of A's. Oh, but he didn't know that. When we'd talk, oh, yeah, Dad, 4.0. It's all good, don't worry. But it got so exhausting keeping up that act. And so I wrote him a letter. Dear Dad, I've been lying to you this whole time. I'm getting F's, not A's. I know I'll never be good enough for you. I know you don't love me. So I need you to disown me right now. And I knew he would. I flew to Miami and I met him in the living room. He was holding my note and crying. Patricia, how could you ever think I don't love you? Dad, when you love someone, you don't make them feel defective. You don't compare and criticize and make perfection a condition for love. Dad, when you love someone, you say, I love you. You hug them. You find out how they're doing on the inside. You don't focus on the outside. Patricia, can you teach me how? Dad, are you serious? He was serious. And that's how I got my first I love you and my first hug from my father at the age of 25. I didn't know then that our honeymoon would only last a few years, but it was long enough to heal my wounds. At first, he hugged me like Frankenstein. He had never used those muscles before. But pretty soon, they became warm bear hugs. The cutest, though, was when he would ask me the questions I taught him in his adorable Spanish accent. Patricia, how did you feel on the inside? One day, he was flying to Colombia to visit family. I stopped by the house on the way to work. I was going in for my full-on hug, but he was dripping in sweat from a morning run. That didn't happen. He called me at work in the afternoon from the airport for another goodbye. Patricia, I love you. At 4 o'clock the next morning, I got that phone call that no one wants to get. My father had been tragically killed. He had flown to Medellin, Colombia, which at the time was the murder capital of the world. And he just became a victim. A tidal wave of grief crashed down on our family. But somehow, I didn't drown. His last words to me, Patricia, I love you, were a life raft, and I clung to it till I made it to shore. Those words, worth more than the Hope Diamond, got me through the grief and left me with peace instead of trauma. And so I leave you with my father's gift today, the magic words, I love you. Don't ever stop hugging sweaty people. And make sure you don't pass a day without asking your loved ones, have I told you lately? I love you. Madam Contest Master.